in the northern Sierras of California.
Sorry, can you say that again, Tara? I just forgot that we need to record this, so say it again.
Yeah, sure. Tara, Freedom Angels from Northern California in the Sierras.
And since we just recorded, I'm going to say my name again. I'm Heidi, co-founder of Freedom Angels, live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Denise, you go next and then introduce our guests.
I'm Denise. I am a health freedom activist in California and founder of The Informed Mama and co-founder of Freedom Angels. And today we're talking with our very good friend, Erin, who's going to tell us what's her situation in the country that she's in. I'm going to let her give all the details. But please listen, please understand that this is a world issue that we're facing. And not everybody really understands what's going on across the nation and the world. So I'm going to let her tell it and introduce herself. Erin, can you hear us? Did her audio go? Okay.
I'm Erin, and this is?
I'm Holly Marie.
And we are stranded in Cusco.
I think her audio is going out a little bit, but if you didn't hear her, she is in Peru. She's stranded out there, and she's going to be telling us what her experience is there. Let's hopefully
hear us.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, so we've been under quarantine for over a week. We're in Cusco, Peru, and we're here with our 2 young boys. So we're traveling together, and gosh, I don't even know where to start, Holly.
Well, we were both traveling here separately to meet up at the same spot, and we kept getting the green light from the travel authorities to keep going, and we're traveling right as Trump was giving the travel restrictions. So we were at very high alert, and all of the airline counters kept on pushing us through. So by the time we got here, everything seemed great. There was a ton of international tourists throughout the streets, and 48 hours later, we were in quarantine.
Without notice. So I was actually in the airport when Trump gave his speech. I can't remember what day it was. Maybe it was the 11th. And I walked up to the ticket counter to go home 2 different times. And I was told by the airlines that it was fake news and that there was no reason why I couldn't travel internationally, and that they wouldn't send me to a foreign country where I would get stuck. And here I am. And it was interesting because I remember looking at my son after I walked away from the ticket counter the first time, and I'm like, was that rude? Did he just talk to me like that? And because, you know, sometimes you're not quite sure what it is that you just experienced. And they really did, you know, I went up there a second time before I got on the plane, and there was they wouldn't even look at me from their phone because I was so ridiculous, and told me to just board the plane. They said, I wouldn't do that if I were you. We wouldn't send you there if you're going to get stuck. And so here I am, 14 days later, stuck in a foreign country with my minor child, and we can't get out.
Wow. So what have you been experiencing from day one? What kind of quarantine or martial law have you been experiencing from the first day until now?
The first day we were able to go get provisions, meaning we can go out and get water. And actually, Holly and I ran into a sweet American couple who were in the air. Remember them?
Yes.
Who were in the air when the borders closed. So I know a lot of people contacted me 2 days ago because they heard the borders closed. The borders closed over a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's kind of walking around in town while we're getting water and food, so that because we are able to leave our hotel to get food or medical attention. The problem is there's police on the street, and they can decide to turn us around at any time. We have to wear masks when we leave. We are wearing rubber gloves when we leave. But here's the thing is every time we leave to go get food, we subject ourselves to possibly being exposed to something. And we need to be healthy when we come back into the States so that we don't get quarantined there.
Okay.
So what we have noticed is over the course of the last week is the police activity has ramped up. There are more police on the streets. I'd say anytime we popped our head out, there's a police officer in front of the hotel.
Absolutely.
What else? Am I missing anything?
Well, the first day, like Erin said, we had freedom to go to the market. And then after that, it's everything is shut down except for pharmacies, banks, and the market. And as soon as you get on the street, the police are making you social distance. They will turn you around if you don't have a mask. And yesterday, we saw plainclothes police escorting people off the street. We weren't exactly sure what was going on, but they are getting more and more strict. We do have cooks that work at our hotel. They must have a permit and wear masks to go to the market. Now, as the Peruvian government is guaranteeing food, we've gotten rumor that there's less and less vendors at the open market.
And we lost our animal protein source, right? And I hesitate saying this because I don't want to be attacked for eating animals, but I eat animals. So we lost our animal protein source probably about 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Which for me personally, for my own health, I actually need animal protein. And we're doing fine without it, but the children are dropping weight.
Mm-hmm. And for me personally, I've been told by 3 naturopaths and my blood chemistry, I am very low in cholesterol. I need meat. I don't need a lot, but I need that to sustain my cholesterol. So Erin and I are both losing weight. Our kids are both dropping weight as well. We're maintaining what we can, and we're supplementing with extra snacks and provisions that we brought, but and it's fine for now. But you know, today we were told that there were going to be flights coming into Cusco and we'd be put on a waiting list, and then those got delayed. So it's great now for under our circumstances. It's not great, but it's doable. What is it going to be like in a week or a week after that? That's the problem.
Right. And we don't know when we're leaving. So yes, we're on. We've spoken with the embassy. We've registered in the Smart Travelers program. We've registered with American Citizen Services in both Lima and in Cusco. We're on all the lists, but even with minor children, we're not considered critical enough to get out of here in a hurry. So right now the priority is people, and it should be people with medical conditions. It should be the elderly. But we have young children with us who, by the way, as well as they're doing, they're melting by the day. They're not at home. This is not familiar. We are not in a free country. They do not have a Bill of Rights here. They do not have the right to assemble here. They are a democracy, but these are not free. This is not a free country.
And I don't think people understand too, your 2 boys that you're there with, they're not allowed to leave the gates of the villa where you're staying at. Like, explain what a day is like with your boys right now. They haven't even gotten to go outside the gates, correct?
No, they haven't. So we're really blessed that they get along really well. And that they're both creative children. I did bring homeschool curriculum. We're both homeschoolers. But they're at a point where they're using plastic bottles and the hacky sack to play with.
Right. And thank goodness the Americans that we have met at our hotel are stepping in and, you know, engaging with them. So we're very blessed for that. But Aaron and I have been on the phone relentlessly with our Congress people, with our reps daily. So it's almost like, in a way, we've been absent parents, but we have to do what we have to do
To get out of
to
here.
get out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, Holly,
You know, I want to go back.
I was going to ask Holly to tell us
I was
more.
just going to go back to. Okay, go ahead.
Holly, can you tell us more about specifically your congressman? Because I know for Aaron, we've been working very hard with his, because I share the same one that Aaron has, and he unfortunately is in the hospital right now, so that's really unfortunate timing. But I do think, since I've seen firsthand working with Aaron and working with our congressional rep in California versus yours in Oregon, I do think we should be giving some props to your Oregon congressional representatives, because they've been working night and day. I know they don't have the ultimate power to pull the strings, but can you talk more about how personally they have been involved with your daily communication?
Yes, some of their representatives, Riza and Mary Ann, two representatives, have been in contact with me daily. They want to know how I am. They're pushing that through. Kurt Schrader is our representative, and then they're pushing it through to Ron Wyden. And they are on it. They just, 4 of our reps just signed a letter, and they're pushing it through to DC. But I have also had my parents contact them, and my friends that are in Oregon contact them as well. And I believe Aaron's doing the same thing, but every day I get an email from Mary Ann or Riza asking how we're doing. And I've told them, I've given them, we have little plastic heaters for a heat source, so we don't have central heat down here. So I've been keeping them up to date, and they genuinely seem concerned and wanting to get us out of here.
Good.
Go ahead, Tara.
I want to go back when you were talking about a protein source. You know, whether it be animal protein or really viable vegetable proteins. It's so important for humans to have proper protein in their diet, because you cannot mount a proper immune response without it. And it just shows
Correct.
how, vulnerable populations already have no margins. And then when you take away the flow of life that allows for people to produce food and trade food and have commerce, and you really make people far more vulnerable to a number of things, including infection. If they cannot, as access to food and as poverty and conditions deteriorate, health deteriorates. It's just part of the equation, we all know. And so now you're also living what it is to be locked down in a society where you don't even have free movement or free control of your body or your actions. And this just all came really globally like that, over what? Over, with a lack of information being shared to individuals and families around the world. And then families end up, stuck in situations like yours that just really put a spotlight on the problems with how this all occurred and is occurring.
Right. Already how you asked at the airport, how this, was it safe? Is it okay? This really was a miscommunication and just no plan in place. So now what's being done? You guys travel is available for 15 days, or what's the update on that?
We don't actually have an official date. So the quarantine is for 15 days, but it's not as though they said it's lifted on March 31st or on April 1st. They could extend it anytime they want. The truth is they can do whatever they want. And so right now it's a 15-day quarantine, but what's to stop them for extending it for another 15 days or another 30 days? And we understand that we're under a humanitarian act and they're doing their best to get us out, but there are thousands of us here. There are thousands of us here, and nobody really thought out the proper processes to get us out in an efficient manner.
Right.
Because I don't think people understand. So many, friends now are clued in and they're paying attention because Trump has said almost every day in his press conference, we're working on those in Peru. We know there's a lot in Peru. But what people don't understand is while it's a small country, it's a big country too. And where you are, you're 18 hours away from Lima, where all the people are being taken, the 500 that they say have been taken so far. But there's well over 1,000 left, and not one plane has come to the city you're in yet, correct?
Not that we're aware of. Yeah, from what we know, nobody has been taken out of Cusco.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Israelis.
Oh, that's correct. I'm sorry. No Americans have been taken out of Cusco. Apparently Israelis have.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another country.
Mexico.
And Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to get their people out.
And I know, we're not the type of people who want to sit back and rely on the government for everything. Like, you're not sitting there like, oh, come help me, come rescue me. You even are on charter flights, like multiple waiting lists for charter flights where you're going to pay completely out of pocket, double and everything, correct? Is that the case as well?
Can you hear us?
We're probably frozen on their end too.
Yeah.
Don't open them.
We can hear you now. Aaron, we were asking about you being on charter flights. You're on waiting lists for charter flights.
Can you?
What happens if we do this?
Might be losing the audio.
Oh, okay.
That's all right to take out the video. Can you still hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we can still
Are you
hear.
there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there was a question about charter flights.
Yeah, well, some people are
Mhm.
saying, look at these people who weren't thinking this through and now they're waiting for the taxpayers to take care of them or whatnot. And that's not the case at all. You guys are, yeah, well, that's true. You are a taxpayer. But I'm just meaning some people are like, oh, they're just out there, waiting for the government. They want the government to solve all their problems. No, you actually are on lists for charter planes as well to get out.
No. We're going to have to pay our way to get out. So I already have purchased a ticket to get home. In addition to that ticket, which is non-refundable, by the way, that they're going to give me a credit that I'm not going to be able to use this year for travel. So in addition to that expense that I had, we get to pay again to go home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to cost at minimum my family over $1,700 to get us home, on top of what I had already paid for a round trip ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, nobody ever told us that that there was no reason to fly. In fact, just to reiterate, we were told by the airlines that it was totally fine and safe to fly, and that there was no reason why we couldn't be here.
Mhm.
So, because if somebody had said don't fly, I would have been like, okay, and we would have gone home.
Right. Right.
And we flew on 2 different airlines. So 2 different airlines both gave us green lights. Both of us had concerns. And when the government does come to get us out, we pay for that. It's not free. It's not on taxpayer money. We write an IOU or we pay on the spot. If we write an IOU, we have a year to pay it. So now I was just interviewed by Corey Good yesterday, who's been interviewed by Amy McCarthy, and there is a lot of backlash from my interview. People are claiming I'm scamming, I'm already home. No, we are still in Peru. People are saying, oh, just contact the embassy.
I love that. Have you contacted the embassy? Of course I have.
People have said, can you call Trump? Can you drive home? We are very smart women. We are pulling every resource we can get, and we are not getting a lot of answers.
And I don't think
Well-
there actually are answers, because this wasn't completely thought through.
Well, and there's no one in the world that's getting answers right now to almost anything. I mean, you guys are living the extreme version of this in a country where you literally are locked down and with military around you, monitoring and limiting your moves even further than most places. But, you know, even in the United States, we're living a version of that. This all dropped across the globe overnight. And I mean, I can imagine you're not getting any information on the streets or in the country, just like in the United States, about what is the model that they're using, where is the infection rate going, what's the you know, how are therapeutics going, what's the plan to open society back up so they don't crash and tank the economy and put everyone under martial law around the world. I imagine you're hearing nothing, seeing nothing. Is that correct? You're just in complete lockdown?
Well, I mean, we have internet access, so we're keeping up on everything that we can, but we're getting so much mixed information.
Mm-hmm. And everything is via, like, we get updates from the American Citizen Services, but it's generally information we already knew.
Well, and I think the whole world has no information. I mean, the amount of questions that humanity has right now should be mounting by the moment. It's like, what is going on that liberties and the free flow of economy is just being shut down globally around the world when we're used to dealing with infections and viruses at all times? I mean, in humanity, how do we better handle this without resorting to this extreme situation that you guys are living out even more? But I mean, we're all living some version of it.
Our connection is bad, and we're not quite hearing what you're saying on your end.
Oh, shoot.
Heidi, maybe yours is clearer than me.
Okay, can you hear me all right, Erin?
Actually, I can.
Okay, so I'm just gonna mute Tara, but you unmute yourself if you want to talk again. Because I think when we mute the people who aren't talking, I think that helps a little bit. But unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. So another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I have been talking with you every day, but just to share with other people too, is like we talked a little bit about your food, but it's not like you get to just walk out to get food like that you want to get, because explain that process. Like, people here in America, you know, even though we're on lockdown, we still can get in our car and we can still drive to Safeway or Trader Joe's or whatnot. And yes, the selection's a little less, but you know, there's still 14 stores to pick from here in the United States. So explain more like what your food is, how it's being made, how that process all goes.
Well, right now, we're not going out to get food anymore. We have an employee of the hotel that goes out and gets our food for us. And there is a cook at this specific location that we're at. The cook is the person going out to get the food because he has papers to do so. We can, while we theoretically can go out and get food, we can be turned away. And we almost were turned away about a week ago because I didn't have a mask at the market. And so we're not talking about walking into a grocery store either. We're talking about walking into an open market, which is vastly different than what you guys have access to at home. And so the other thing that we have to keep in mind again is that every time we go out, we risk exposure to whatever is or isn't out there. And when we come home, we need to be healthy so that we can pass a health screening. So we have to be very mindful about when we do leave the hotel, is it worth it? Is it worth the exposure of possibly touching something that somebody has touched. And now, you start to feel a little crazy, like, sanitizing the water bottles that you go out to buy before you drink them, or before because we could be exposed to a germ, even if it's just an actual common cold that could get us flagged on the way home.
Now, if I can, we have rationed down to 2 eggs per person a day, and Erin can't eat eggs. So we're not able to get what we would like to eat. And also now we're advised to only eat cooked food. So we cannot eat salads. We cannot eat raw fruit. We cannot eat anything raw. Everything is cooked. And for me, it's horrible. I'm losing my appetite. I mean, our cooks are wonderful, but I need nutrients. I don't need cooked vegetables and pasta every night. I need raw vegetables. I need salad. I need protein. And just like Erin, she can't eat the eggs. So we're getting really streamlined into a diet that's being dictated by somebody else.
Right. A
Well, I
government.
think that's the key. All of this is being dictated by somebody else. There's like every human's movement and body and work decisions are being dictated by somebody else with no information, very little information being given. I'm hopeful, like today, President Trump in the United States tweeted, part of his tweet was, our people want to return to work. They will practice social distancing and all else, and seniors will be watched over and protectively and lovingly. We can do 2 things together. Imagine that. The cure cannot be worse by far than the problem. Well, amen to that. Let's get more of that conversation going. And so that this kind of this overhanded approach to this virus can be ended, honestly.
Absolutely.
I'm like I feel like a caged lion, and I can only imagine how you feel.
Yes, I think we're all getting a little restless.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we feel a little helpless because there's only so much we can do. There's only so many phone calls you can make, so many emails that you can send, so many posts you can put on social media, and then you wait.
And it seems like every day. It seems like every day is the same answer. We're working on it. We're working on it. And while Oregon is really, really pushing through, nothing is concrete.
The only one good thing we can see in the last few days, a lot of papers in the United States, a lot of people are starting to push back and say, wait a minute, this is like, we're not going to tank the economy over this. We can do better than this. We aren't just going to suspend liberties when we can practice hygiene and work on therapeutics and just not, shut the world down for lack of, go straight into lockdown as the solution. It makes no sense, honestly. And so I'm hoping that as this seems to be, the conversation is opening back up now in the way it always should have been, even before anything like this could have happened. And I'm hoping that will help resolve things and help bring you guys home sooner. Like that, I hope we're on that that pathway there quickly. For you and for everybody who's, vulnerable and have no margins to deal with this situation.
Right. I think Erin had to step out to request a food allergy preference right now. But here's my whole thing with the lockdown is, how do we go from chickenpox parties to shelter in place? right? Like what's really going on? And we're being so complacent about everything. I read on
Mhm.
it's andina.pe, it's the Peruvian news source. They just ordered 1 million pneumonia vaccines for elders. So we really have to, for people not in the know, I think it's a really good time for us to wake up and put our cognitive dissonance aside and see what's really going on.
We do. And I think people are starting to kind of wake up quicker than I expected, because this whole thing is rolling out quicker than I expected. We're now seeing, oh, uh-oh. Heidi,
Did I
can't
say
hear
the
you.
wrong?
No. Heidi, you're on mute.
Sorry, what is it?
I said
Heidi?
the recording stopped.
Stop.
It's meaning we're not on Facebook anymore?
No, we are. It's not recording the just recording this in general, but
Did I say the wrong thing?
no, you're fine.
You're fine.
But-
It still shows on here that the recording is going, so I don't know what's going on, but the recording shows on my side. Go ahead.
But
You
we're
actually said,
oh,
go ahead. You actually said the very right thing. I mean, there's recent studies showing that the flu shot increased the risk of coronavirus by 36%. And that's just preliminary data. There's not even deep dives into the data, real world data that's coming out. I mean, there's some new live cell flu vaccine that's been used in Italy and I think some other countries. I mean, how are these, parallel or comorbid conditions affecting rates of infection? And if you're saying that they just ordered 1 million, did you say pneumococcal or flu shot vaccine,
Yeah.
flu vaccines?
For
Yeah, I mean,
seniors.
that's a recipe for disaster. That's not the pathway to health and wellness
No.
for fighting off the coronavirus at all.
Right. And now the other day during Trump's speech, he was saying to go back to medicines that they already had. He was saying we already have, and I can't recall off the top of my head what it is, but the military is already using it. It's not a vaccine. We already have things that work.
Chloroquine and azithromycin.
Yes.
And then we need to be pushing back to, across the board for intravenous, for IV vitamin C, for these, treatments that we know that can be curative and supportive no matter, what you're using. We need to be, demanding therapeutics that are effective and also safe and supportive ones where they're available.
Absolutely. I fully agree. And Erin and I stand in the same boat with our health freedom choices. And yes, when we can choose the diet that we want, when we can have our freedom to get the food that we need, we remain completely healthy. Along with our supplements, our herbs, we can do everything we need to do to fight off these infections.
Yep. Yeah, and body sovereignty and, the free will to move about and engage in your profession and your occupation and your life is, it's fundamental to human life right now. And I think the world has been acting very altruistically and also very, carefully for self-care, and has proven that people can do so. But now it's time to push back for liberties and for, a process that keeps the economy flowing, that pushes therapeutics, and such. Hang on, guys. Hang on. I'm going to go on mute for a second.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I was on mute. And that brings, when you said, we're being very complacent. A lot of people really in our community, which is odd, want martial law. They want the government to lock us down. Can you guys hear that in the background? Okay. Heidi, you should go until this is done.
It's not that bad, Denise. We're all moms, every one of us, even Holly there. She has her son there who is being amazing. I don't know what he's doing right now, but good for you, Mama.
But
It's-
you know,
it's been- go
we've
ahead.
already seen Bill Gates is saying that he wants a digital, proof that you've been vaccinated. We have the Real ID 2020 coming, or the Real ID coming, so you can't even fly if you don't have your information on this little card. And now they want the digital money. So what does that equal? That equals you're not going to get any money until you get vaccinated, and the adult mandates are going to roll out. So when people in our community are begging for the troops to be on the streets and to distribute food, they don't understand. They're going to get the food that those troops give you. There's going to be no choice. There's going to be no shopping in Walmart and just getting things that you want to get. There's going to be a real presence of the military on our streets. Our police officers aren't going to be able to help us. Nobody's going to be able to help us. So when the health freedom movement screams for martial law, I hope they remember why they're in this movement to begin with. We're always going to have viruses. It's the way that we, the hygiene practices, the washing the hands, the food, the supplements that we're able to take. And just like you guys are in that position with not very good food, not very nutritious food, you guys are going to run out of your supplements. Your body is going to be screaming for some kind of care that you're not getting there. And that's what these people who are screaming for the government to shut down all of our, independent stores, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get troops on the street telling you what you can and cannot eat.
Right.
No control.
And is it right? And so many people are playing it right. They're swallowing the fear pill.
Yeah.
They're swallowing the fear, and it's the fear that's it allows you to be controlled.
I agree. So
Yeah.
Heidi, what time are we
And-
at?
Sorry, I had on mute. We are at 5:40, so we do want to wrap this up, and I think we should let Holly, since this is your moment to shine here. Is there anything else that you want to let everybody know?
I follow a lot of really undercover news, and I know this is all going to pass. I know I've been hearing a lot of different stuff that I'd rather not say on your channel, but I think there's a plan behind this. I think there's a big fight against the darkness right now, and I do think that we're going to move through this, but it takes every single individual to move aside their fear and stop focusing on their weaknesses and focus on their strengths. Like, now is the time to find that inner strength and just hold on to it.
I'm so sorry you guys are in this situation, but I'm so glad you guys were able to come and tell what's going on. And we'll keep checking in on you guys, and prayers of, hurry up and come home are going out to you. Again, we are Freedom Angels. If you
Thank
have
you.
any questions, you can email us at freedomangels@protonmail.com. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, I don't know where Aaron went. I know it must have been important, but thank you for taking the time to hear our story. Thank you very much.
Of course.
We love you, and we're praying you
Yeah.
home quickly.
Yes, we are.
Thank
So
you. I
thank you
can't wait
guys.
to meet you guys in person.
We're going to need a really serious girls' dinner to kind of decompress from everything that's happened, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for listening and for sharing. Please know we will be doing lives at 5 discussing what's going on in California and the nation, as well as the world, with these lockdowns and this virus that has taken over our economy. If you guys need to reach us, you can reach us at our Facebook page or our Proton email. So I'll see you guys later.
Good night.
And we'll be back tomorrow. And good night.
Bye.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good night. Big love to you and